Imagine opening a pizza box the next morning. The cheese has hardened slightly, the crust isn't quite as fluffy as it was the night before, and yet somehow the flavor feels different. Not necessarily worse, sometimes even better, but undeniably changed. Reheated pizza has a personality of its own. Many people swear that leftover pizza tastes richer, saltier, or even more satisfying than it did when it first came out of the oven. But why does reheated pizza taste different? The answer lies in a fascinating mix of chemistry, moisture movement, and how heat transforms food over time. Let's explore right here on History of Simple Things. To understand why reheated pizza tastes different, we first need to look at what happens to pizza as it cools after baking. Fresh pizza straight from the oven is a complex structure. The crust is airy and crisp thanks to steam that formed during baking. The cheese is melted and stretchy, with fats evenly distributed throughout. The sauce is warm and aromatic, releasing the smell of tomatoes, herbs, and garlic. But once the pizza begins to cool, several chemical and physical changes begin taking place almost immediately. One of the biggest factors is something called starch retrogradation. The crust of pizza is made from dough, which contains starch molecules. When the pizza is first baked, heat and moisture cause those starches to swell and gelatinize, giving the crust its soft interior and crisp exterior. However, as the pizza cools, the starch molecules begin to reorganize themselves and crystallize again. This process causes the crust to firm up and lose some of its original softness. When you reheat the pizza later, those starches don't fully return to their original state, which is why the texture of reheated crust often feels denser or slightly chewier than fresh pizza. Moisture also plays a major role in the flavor change. Fresh pizza contains a lot of water trapped in the cheese, sauce, and dough. As the pizza sits in the box overnight or in the refrigerator, some of that moisture slowly moves around. Water from the sauce can seep into the crust, making certain areas softer. Meanwhile, other areas dry out slightly. This redistribution of moisture changes the texture and mouthfeel of each bite. When reheated, the pizza may become crisp in some spots and soggy in others, creating a different overall eating experience. Another reason reheated pizza tastes different has to do with fats and oils. Cheese contains fat that melts and spreads out when the pizza is hot. As the pizza cools, those fats solidify again, often coating the surface of the toppings and crust. When you reheat the slice, those fats melt a second time, but they may not distribute exactly the same way they did originally. Sometimes this makes the pizza taste richer or greasier, depending on how the fats were absorbed by the crust overnight. Interestingly, time itself can improve certain flavors in pizza. Just like soups and stews often taste better the next day, pizza ingredients can blend together as they sit. The tomato sauce, herbs, cheese, and toppings continue to interact chemically even after the pizza leaves the oven. Aromatic compounds from garlic, oregano, basil, and other seasonings diffuse through the sauce and dough. This process can make the flavors taste deeper and more balanced the next day, which is why some people claim leftover pizza tastes even better than fresh pizza. The reheating method also plays a big role in how the pizza tastes. For example, reheating pizza in a microwave tends to make the crust soft and rubbery. That's because microwaves heat water molecules quickly, producing steam that gets trapped inside the dough. In contrast, reheating pizza in an oven or skillet can restore some crispness to the crust by driving off excess moisture. A frying pan on the stove is actually one of the most popular methods because it crisps the bottom while gently melting the cheese again on top. Temperature changes also affect the proteins in cheese. When cheese melts the first time during baking, its proteins loosen and stretch, creating that iconic gooey texture. But after cooling and reheating, those proteins can tighten slightly, which is why reheated cheese sometimes feels less stretchy and more oily. The flavor can become sharper as well because fats and salt become more concentrated in certain areas. Storage conditions make a difference too. If pizza is left in the box at room temperature for a few hours, the crust absorbs moisture from the air and the toppings. In the refrigerator, colder temperatures slow down bacterial growth, but also speed up the staling process of bread. That's why refrigerated pizza often has a firmer crust before reheating. The refrigerator essentially accelerates the starch retrogradation process we talked about earlier. There's also a psychological element involved. When we eat pizza fresh, our senses are overwhelmed by heat, smell, and texture all at once. The aroma of hot cheese and baked dough plays a huge role in how we perceive flavor. Reheated pizza releases those aromas differently, sometimes more slowly or less intensely, which can subtly change how our brain interprets the taste. In the end, reheated pizza tastes different because food is constantly changing, even after cooking is finished. Starches reorganize, moisture moves through the crust, fats solidify and melt again, and flavors continue to blend together over time. These small chemical and physical changes combine to transform yesterday's pizza into something slightly new. So the next time you grab a cold slice from the fridge and warm it up, remember that you're not just eating leftovers. You're experiencing a second version of the same meal, one shaped by time, chemistry, and the surprising science of how food evolves after it leaves the oven. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.